Oh yeah! So before we start this video, I'd like to announce the channel has reached 1,000 subscribers because of y'all. So I'd like to thank everybody that has subscribed, liked, commented, and viewed my videos over the course of this build. Alright y'all, it's that time. We're starting the tuning process. Oh yeah! So before we get tuning, there's just a few more things we have to do in preparation before we get started. So the first thing I gotta do is hook my ProLink cable up to my wideband wiring harnesses here. I got my wideband directions for the colors of the wires I gotta hook up, and I wrote down from HP Tuner's website which colors go to the ProLink cable. The red here is analog 1, blue is analog 2, black is ground. So I'm gonna go ahead and solder this up, get some shrink wrap on it, get it all set up, and then we're gonna put it in the car. All right, I got the 2 wideband wiring harness soldered in to the ProLink. Got it all shrink wrapped up. So let's go install her. All right, so I got my little wideband data boxes, whatever they're called, double-sided taped on top of the trans tunnel right there. Then we gotta plug the wiring harness in. I got the wideband wiring harnesses plugged into that data box. Next thing I want to do is the diagnostic port for the ECU, PCM, whatever you want to call it, is flipped. So when I plug in the HP tuners, it's actually upside down. And then when I plug in the ProLink, it'll come out on the wrong side. It'll be over here. So I'm going to try to unbolt this, flip it this way. My ProLink can come in from this way. I don't have a wire hanging down here. Wow, this thing reads and programs and controls this whole thing through 4 wires. Jeez, I thought every wire was gonna be filled in this thing. We got it flipped up. I just had to bend the bracket down a little bit so it fit right. And now we can plug this up in here. Bam. And there we go. Now we can log our dual wideband. The deeper I get into this, the more information and feedback I'm getting from people messaging me and giving me hints and advice. So someone on Facebook actually told me of a spot that's on the throttle that we're actually be losing boost pressure from, that's a part of the PCV system, or yeah, PCV system. So originally with the PCV system, I had pulled the PCV cartridge out the top of the intake. We ended up welding up the bottom of it and then reinserting it. But I was told that the passage going from the PCV system into the throttle, you can lose boost pressure and get possible blow-by from it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take the throttle off, and in the passage we're gonna tap out the little hole in there and then put a set screw in it to block it off, and then reinstall the throttle. So this way we don't get lose boost pressure or create any possibility of blow-by. So to make this super simple for me to take off without having to undo a bunch of clamps, I'm just gonna undo this one clamp down here and pull the intercooler piping out of the one coupler here, and just unbolt the intake throttle, and yeah, just take it all off in one piece. I already got all the wires disconnected and the vacuum line to my blow-off valve, so I'm good to go. Alright, I just got the 2 bottom bolts loose and an antifreeze started dripping out of the throttle there. I totally forgot that antifreeze circulated through there, so I'm gonna have to push this outside because I don't want to get antifreeze on the floor in here because I got that cat running around. I don't want to be licking on that. And I'm changing the thermostat as well. We're throwing a 180-degree thermostat in here. So yeah, I'm just gonna pull it outside, jack it up. We're gonna pull the peacock on the radiator, dump some antifreeze out of it, and yeah, this way I can do both of these at the same time. We'll get that thermostat in there and get that hole plugged up. I got my radiator cap open, and we got this draining down here. This way we can reuse it. I cleaned out the fan. All right, we got the throttle off. So this is the hole I was talking about. This one right here. So yeah, that supposedly, from what I was told, ties into the PCV system. So you got to plug that off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap out this side on the upper intake, and then yeah, we're going to put some kind of set screw or bolt, and I'm probably just going to make it myself. Yeah, very paranoid. Don't want to get any metal shavings down into the intake. But yeah, I made my set screw already. I tapped out the hole. We took this bolt here, cut the end of it off to where it would, I guess, meet flush with the upper intake. And then I took a grinder and I grind a slot in it for a big screwdriver. And now what I'm going to do is just take some of this thread locker, put it on there, and then set it in there to try to let that help keep this in place. But even if this does move, the whole point was I used a bigger size tap to tap the hole out, so even if this does loosen up in there, it doesn't fit back this way, so it can't come out. It's going to be wedged in there regardless if it loosens up or not. Well, that's the finished product. Got it set in there just like that, got it all snugged up, and I might just put a dab of RTV on the front of it, you know, just for extra sealing, I guess. All right, just got back from the auto parts store. We got the 180-degree thermostat. Let's swap this sucker in. All right, fellas, I'm back at it again. So the last thing I needed to do in preparation to start tuning this thing was my IAT, idle air temperature sensor. Now originally it was just flopping there, so I ended up taking it and zip tying it to one of the intercooler clamps, just because I didn't know exactly what to do with it. I didn't know if I should put it in the cone filter right before the turbo, or if I had to fabricate a little plate and then have that welded into the intercooler piping and had it set in there. So the guy that's actually had reached out to me to help me tune this car, two ways he has suggested to do it. Was the one way that I thought of was to make like a little plate or something where I could weld it into the intake piping, the intercooler piping going into the throttle. But then he said you can also drill a hole in the coupler and just jam it in there. He told me to drill a small hole in the coupler, smaller than the intake air temperature sensor, and then this way when I stuck it in, it would be squeezed in there real tight. So I started thinking about it, and you know, I didn't want it to blow out under boost pressure, but he was saying, oh well, the boost pressure you're running probably won't be enough to blow it out as long as you get in there nice and snug. But I didn't want to take that chance and be playing around with that, so I started getting a little creative and thinking, and this is pretty much what I came up with. So yeah, I got a big mess going on here though. But first what I did was I started playing around with this piece of coupler here and drilling a bunch of holes in it until I found the size drill bit I needed to use to actually put it into the main coupler I was going to use. And then I made me a little hold down plate with this thin aluminum here. I think this stuff is only like a 1/16 thick, so it's really thin and flexible and workable to work with. I cut me out a small strip out of the aluminum there, and I measured it out to be just as long as the coupler here and about, I don't know, 1.5 inches or so wide. Then I cut a notch out of that little strip plate that I made, and I fit the intake air temperature sensor into it, so it was in there nice and snug. Then I took the little plate and I put a couple creases in it on each side of it, so it was raised up a bit, so it wasn't putting immense pressure on it when I actually installed it. And I also put a little grommet in between the plate and the coupler on the sensor. This way, when it's snugged up against the coupler, it's sealed off real good. And then I pretty much just used the intake, the clamps for the coupler to hold it down. And that's pretty much it. And it's in there nice and tight. It ain't going nowhere. I don't think any amount of boost pressure is going to blow that thing out at this point, the way I got it in there. It's in there really good. So, I mean, that's it. Pretty sure I got everything covered. And yeah. Now the last step to getting this thing tuned is we're going to hook up the HP tuners and we're going to download the stock tune file. This way I can send it over to the guy that offered to help me tune it. All right, let's get her done. End stages, baby. I got the HP tuners all loaded up into my laptop here. I actually downloaded this, I don't know, maybe 3 months ago when I first had ordered the HP tuners, or 2 months ago. And yeah, you don't even have to have the MVP i2 to actually download this. You just go to hptuners.com and go to downloads, and you download the VCM suit, It's the first one up on the left, not the beta one. It's just the regular suit one. I think it's the latest steady edition, they call it, or something like that. And they actually give you sample files. I'll show you real quick. Samples. Once you download it, and you got all these sample scan files, and they give you one sample tune file that you can play around in the editor with. And then also you got all the scans where you can go on the scanner and you can kind of look at the scans and check them out, familiarize yourself on how the scanner works and how to read all the little wavy lines and the gauges and stuff, and the graphs that they have on there. That's kind of what I've been doing, but I've only watched a few videos on it. I haven't really got too deep into it, but I'm gonna grasp the whole idea of it all as we get through this whole process here. All right, anyway, let's get this in the car, hooked up to the MVP-i2, and we're going to download the stock tune file. But yeah, I figured I'd give you that little bit of advice just in case you are interested and start the tune like I want to do. And before you even buy it, you can start familiarizing yourself with it, pretty much. All right, so this is super simple to download the stock tune file. I looked it up already. It is so easy. And even with your credits, when you buy your credits for the HP tuners, you don't have to use your credits. You can edit, scan, and do all the stuff you want. The only time you have to pay for the credits is after you edit your tune and you want to upload it into the car. That's when you have to pay for your credits. So what I did was I plugged the MVP-i2 into the diagnostic port. I got my key turned on, and we plugged the MVP-i2 with the cable they gave us, USB cable, into the laptop. And then all you do to download your stock tune file is go right here to this little microchip. It says read vehicle, or you can go to flash and it gives you the same option, read vehicle. And then down here it says write vehicle, and this is where I was saying when you actually have to pay for your credits is when once you get your tune all figured out and you're ready to upload it, flash it into the car, you would go to write vehicle, and that's again where you pay for the credits. So we're gonna read vehicle, bam, brings up this little window, click on read, and she'll start reading. Takes a few minutes, so we'll give it the time she needs. And the car does a little doodad once it gets done reading. And then we gotta pick a name for it, which I'm gonna put twin turbo stock tune. And then we just hit save, and that's how you save your stock tune. I was also advised that you should always keep a couple copies of your stock tune saved away in different files, just in case one of the files get deleted, or you always want to refer back to your stock tune. Say, you go to tune it and you mess up and you don't know where you started or end it, you can always just at least have your stock tune. You can either upload back in or start editing from there again. And I think it's a good idea. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to save me a couple files on my laptop here. Maybe even put one in my external storage upstairs. So, all right, y'all. Well, I hope you liked the video. We're going to get the first tune put in on the next one. And driver, get her on the road. So, peace and love. Keep it real. And I'll see y'all on the next one.